Well, this is something that hopefully each of you will, discover yourself, that, yeah, it's important to learn something about it, but the really important thing is to do it regularly, because that's the only way that we dissolve the experience, or what you're describing. And each person has their own version of that. The Tao practice, they described something that is called drowning in the dust of everyday experience. And this is what happens to most people without some conscious way of dealing with your life. You feel like you're just gradually, slowly disappearing under the weight of your own experience, in a way, I mean, and it's also described as being under the weight of your own identity, or your lower self. And there's a weight there that we carry, It's the tensions and the patterns and the doubts and the anger and the frustrations and all of that comes from something. When we were born, we were in a much more pure state of being. We just were. Of course there was trauma, there. Suddenly you're taking a breath instead of getting oxygen from your mother. But it was still not a state that was so marked by attachment to identity. Yeah? So this identity that we develop, we of course need that identity, but it becomes a source of frustration. Do you notice also then how much energy it takes from you to have a lot of anger about a situation you can do nothing about, really? I mean, I'm a total believer in feeling your reaction and then stepping back a little bit, and then if there is an action that can be done, if you can really do something about it, then yes, it's worth doing. But even then, if you're going to do something or say something, if you say it from a more relaxed state, it will be much more powerful, and you have much more chance of actually having somebody pay attention to you, because the minute you blow off the top of your head in some way, the other person or the situation is going to say, well, he's just nuts, he doesn't control himself, so I'm right. Don't you think? So, and this is what we mean, this is what I mean when we talk about the weight of your own lower self, your own patterns, your own attachments, your own fears, your own, all of that. It's really a heavy weight to carry, and what we are trying to do in the practice is to free ourselves from that. And the only place where you can find the freedom from it is deeply inside yourself. And that's why doing it every day is highly, highly, highly advisable. If you really want to conquer yourself, master yourself, you almost have to. For me, there's nothing more important. If I've gone a day and I haven't meditated, I feel a little uneasy, and then, it's 11 o'clock. I would still sit down and meditate, just because I need to feel that I'm dissolving the dust of the day, or the tension of the day. And this we can do for ourselves. So when we talk about letting go, it's really letting go of the tension. It's letting go of the attachment to things having to be a certain way. I mean, and when I had this rock here, in case I had the opportunity to illustrate that, you know? If I'm holding this rock now for just 30 seconds, that's doable, I can do that. But if you tell me to hold it for 5 hours, now it's starting to be really a pain. And if you're talking about holding it for 3 days straight, or if you have a rucksack with 20 or 30 of these rocks on the back, and you have to run up to the top of the mountain and back again 5 times every day. What happens if you can put that weight down? I mean, you feel like you're floating, don't you? You feel like you're rising up out of yourself. And this is why we call this the rising energy practice, because when you really can kind of drop your drama, when you can drop your attachment to, oh, it has to be this or that way. But that takes training. You train yourself to cultivate the wish that you really want to do it every day, and to admit to yourself, well, you know, today, as you're doing, I'm not my highest self. And I want to be my highest self. That means, you know, you want to be a state of awareness that sees through the surface of your own patterns and your own thoughts. You know? Because that's what our identity is, isn't it?
Yes.
It's our thoughts and judgments and so on, and reactions. And there's nothing wrong with having reactions, but there is something wrong about being stuck in them.
Exactly.
Can you reflect on that and see that most of it is you putting pressure on yourself? Yeah. So then you let go of that gradually, but it takes training and it takes doing, and it takes convincing yourself that you can do it, that you are doing it. You know, the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in your state.
Yes.
And it won't be perfect in 1 week or 2 weeks. It takes time to gradually transform yourself and to gradually master that, you know, when you have any of these kinds of experiences, that you can go into those experiences and still open your heart and feel the silence and the gratitude for just being.